What happens to a child when they go to school hungry? And how does this snowball into larger issues as adults? We look at this and how hunger impacts children in our own backyards. This is Hunger in the City of Lights.
Well, these children, they emotionally can be traumatized as well without having the basic nutrition and everything, because they'll come to school and if they haven't eaten, or they're, have that stigma, oh, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to let someone, they're going to start to melt down during the school day. And again, if you have 5 kids in that classroom that haven't eaten, that could create a classroom environment where not much learning is going to go on. So critical, those early years of life, all the way up through school. The brain has critical time periods when there's development needed, and if those nutrients and those foods aren't there for that child, that can lead to intellectual disabilities, difficulties in school. It can affect their cognitive ability. So food insecurities go hand in hand with malnutrition and the things that students need to come to school to be able to thrive and be able to learn.
Children who are food insecure suffer more psychological and emotional difficulties in school and can be more aggressive or withdrawn than other children. In family settings, children have increased psychological and emotional distress, causing different behavioral responses.
They're very food-centric. You could be in a classroom and the teacher is doing a lesson and they may disrupt to ask for something to eat. Their attention span is very limited. Again, this is due to just their overall lack of nutritious food affects their brain development and their physical development. So that lack of attentiveness just sometimes comes off as being disruptive in the classroom. And so one of the things we first ask is, what's it like at home? Are you getting enough to eat? Do you have sometimes a family? There's other situations, but in that case, those are the typical questions we'll ask.
In regards to children's brain activity and their growth and nutrition and how that all comes together, kids need all sorts of nutrients to be able to allow their brains to develop and grow appropriately. Healthy fats, for example, we talk about from 1 to 2 years old, having healthy fats in their diet from different places, things like whole milk or whole dairy products, or additional places where they can get those things like avocados or peanut butter. Lots of different options, but if you don't have access to those things, and you won't be able to get them. That extra healthy fat helps them develop those neural connections in their brain that can help them continue to develop physically and emotionally, which is really important. When your brain doesn't have that nutrition, it doesn't get those needs met, then it struggles to make those connections. And then we can start to see developmental delays or struggles with behavior later in life, sometimes academic performance that isn't ideal, let alone the fact that if a child is hungry when they're going to school, they're not going to be able to focus on playing and learning and paying attention in their classroom or daycare because they're focused on their hunger.
School achievements are not met as much for children who are food insecure compared to the children who are not. Food insecurity at a young age can play a role in determining a young adult's access to resources and can translate to lower earnings as adults. It is important for children at a young age to have access to the foods they need in order for the snowball effect into adulthood to not occur.
It's the shared commitment of serving families and hoping that through our collaboration that we have these positive outcomes for families and children. And it's a shared outlook that not one entity can make that ultimate difference, but together, we can have positive outcomes for families and children. So looking at the family holistically, we see them as all of these things that a family needs, right? For a parent to support a child's education, if they're experiencing food insecurity, insecurities with housing, with their health, we know they can't focus on supporting their child in the educational aspect of it. So we have to think of it as kind of like the Maslow hierarchy of needs, is we need to take care of these immediate needs of security within the family and shore up the foundation for that family so the parent and the child can then move on to the next stage, which is then being able to be engaged with your child, to read to your child, to go to activities that support them in the parent's role as their first teacher.